It's all about the texture. Today, we will use what we learned and practiced last week about texture to create a textured teddy or other type of animal face using lines, shapes, colors, and of course, texture. Just to review, texture is one of the 7 elements of art, along with line, shape, color, form, value, and space. Reviewing 2 different kinds of texture. Now, if you remember from last week, real life textures, like the owl that you can see here that looks very pokey and rough, are textures you can actually touch. These are things that you touch and feel every day. And artists can use real life texture when they create sculptures and things out of clay, wood, or even metal. The other kind of texture is the texture we're going to be using today, and that's called visual texture, sometimes called implied texture. That's the kind of texture you use all your art materials to make: rough, smooth, bumpy, furry, to make things look like they actually have texture. So we'll be using visual texture today to create our texture teddies. Here's lots of examples of how you can create texture using different kinds of art materials. Notice how texture with pencil can look very different than texture with chalk or colored pencil and even marker. If you want to create a furry or a rough kind of texture today on your texture TED, you could try practicing on a piece of paper. What would it look like if I tried to use a pencil? What would it look like if I tried to use a marker? What would it look like if I tried to use a crayon? And experiment with what kinds of materials you would like to use to make your texture. Now, you're going to be giving a choice between creating a texture panda or a texture brown or black bear. And I'm going to be showing you how to do that right now. Here we go. Let's get started. Now remember, boys and girls, if you ever get stuck, all you have to do is rewind the video and play it again.
Okay, boys and girls, for this week, for your texture bear project, you get a choice between whether or not you want to have a bear that is a brown or black bear or a panda bear. I'm going to show you how to draw both, but I want you to notice the features on the panda are a little bit different than the features on the brown or the black bear, which look similar. Just so you know, black bears do live in Michigan, so if you want to do something that has a Michigan theme to it, that would also be a great one to use. All right, in order to get started, you're going to need a clean sheet of white paper and a pencil for sketching. Also an eraser. If you don't have one on the end of your pencil, you can use the white block erasers that I showed you before. Then, for adding the black outline, you could use a crayon. Crayon is not the best choice, however. Colored pencil is good. Sharpie is the best choice if you have it. If you do not have a Sharpie, you could use a Crayola marker too. But some type of a dark outline you're going to need. So you have lots of different choices of what you can use to make that dark outline. All right, if you're going to do the panda, we're actually going to start with an oval for the shape of the head. And whenever you're drawing an oval, you need to put your hands on your pencil a little bit higher up than you normally would. The problem with doing this is it causes you to hold your pencil up higher like that and press down on the paper too much. And that makes it really hard to sketch. So in order to practice sketching, move your hands up the pencil a little bit, grip it like this, and then we're going to actually lay it kind of sideways on the paper and up towards the top of your paper. Not super close, but up towards the top, make a nice big oval shape. And you do that by going around and around and around and around using that pencil that's sort of slanted, not straight up and down, but slanted on the side. Now I got a nice big oval shape. Panda's ears are a little bit different than the ears of brown or black bears. They're also oval shape on each side of the head, and they're a little bit smaller. So you're on your side of the head, you're going to sketch on each side. Really quickly, an oval on one side. You can turn your paper and try to sketch the same size oval very lightly on the other side. And take a look at it and say, oh, that looks pretty good. This one's a little too high up. I can adjust it a little bit. And then I want to connect it, make sure it's connected to the head. I had to move this one down just a little bit. And then for the inside of the ear, it's going to be like a half circle, like this. And if it's not the same on both sides, that's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. But I just wanted you to notice with the panda, we're doing ovals for the ears and the shape of the head, and then also for the eyes. So when you're ready to do the eyes, you're going to go down about halfway down on your head, and the eyes are going to be about a 3-finger space apart. So I'm going to sketch really lightly 2 small circles, and I'm going to see if I can fit about 3 fingers in the middle. If your circles are too close together, just erase the eyes and try again. 2 small circles. Now around the 2 small circles, I'm going to draw sort of a larger oval or circle shape. And then the thing that's really cool about the panda is they have that really dark oval around their eyes that makes them look like a panda. So I'm going to draw an oval that kind of lays a little bit diagonal around each eye. So it looks like the oval is kind of tipping over a little bit. Now you notice my 2 pandas already don't quite look the same. That's okay. Not every panda is going to look exactly the same, and yours are going to look different than mine. So after I have my eyes and my big ovals around my eyes, I'm going to go down here between the 2 eyes and make a smaller oval that's laying sideways this way for the nose. That's a pretty cute nose. Draw a straight line down for the mouth and 2 curved lines out from each side of the mouth, just like that. It's a happy panda. He's got a smiley face. Now you can draw the chin on the bottom of the panda too, just like that. That's not his tongue, that's his chin. And then I'm going to darken my lines around the outside just a little bit to make sure that I have the lines that I need. And to do the sweater on the panda, we're going to do 2 curved lines that go out just from the edge of the mouth. You want to make sure your mouth goes out far enough so that it's past your nose. You don't want your mouth to be too small, so make those lines long enough. And then I'm going to draw a curved line going out down to the edge of my paper here, and a curved line going out down to the edge of my paper that way, like that. And again, if you look at my 2 examples of my pandas, they're not exactly the same, and that is okay. All right, so we're going to take a break for that for a second. I'm going to show you how to do the brown bear. If you want to do the brown bear, here's one that I've already drawn. And you might notice from the difference between the panda and the brown bear is more of a circle. So on him, we're going to start with a circle shape head. So right here towards the top of my paper, I'm going to draw a really big circle, almost like a basketball. Like that. You want to make sure there's a little bit of space at the top because the brown or the black bears have big ears. So I want you to think of these ears as lines that almost look like rainbows. They kind of go up and around like a rainbow off of the side of the head. That's how brown or black bear ears look. They kind of pop out the side. And then on the inside, you can draw a smaller rainbow line. I don't want to call these half circles because it's not really half of a circle. It's more like half of an oval. And then the trickiest part on the brown or the black bear is the snout right here. So what we're going to do first is draw the eyes, and then I'll show you how to do the snout. So the eyes are about 3 fingers apart, just like on the panda. So I'm going to draw some small dark circles about 3 finger space apart for the inside of the eye. And then for the outside of the eye, I'm going to draw a larger circle that's not colored in, like that. And now I'm going to do the snout. Now the reason why the snout is kind of tricky is because it's a pear shape. So the top is narrower than the bottom. The bottom part of the snout is bigger. So right here, I'm going to draw, it's going to look like he's got a sad face. I'm going to draw a rainbow shape again that I did here. I'm going to do the same thing here. And then it curves out and around and then back. So it kind of looks like an oval that's missing part of the oval section. Curves out and around and back. If you were to put a stem on it, it would look like a pear. But we don't want it to look like a pear, so we're going to erase that. Okay, once you have that shape, I like to draw brown or black bear noses to kind of look like hearts. Oftentimes dogs' noses look like this too. You do not need to draw it to look like a heart. You can draw yours to look like a half circle or an oval. That would be totally fine too. And then a little line for his mouth and the smiley face going up each side like that. Aw, look, he's so cute. And now I'm going to do the same thing with the sweater. 2 curved lines way out to the side. Okay, so now that we're done with both sketches, now you remember you only have to pick one. I'm just showing you both so you guys have a choice. We're going to use a art tool to outline. If you have a crayon, go ahead and use a crayon. Crayons work great for adding texture. If you only have colored pencil, you could use colored pencil. That also works wonderful for adding texture. I am going to use a black Sharpie marker because this looks really nice and clean and is a great way to show you how to do texture on a video. So I'm going to very carefully outline my lines and only outline the lines that I want to keep. And all the other lines I can erase later. Sometimes it helps when you're outlining to turn your paper like this. Turn and then keep drawing. That makes it easier for outlining. Same thing for the eyes. Make sure that you don't color in the eyes all black. You gotta leave a little bit of white space. Color in the dark spot in the middle, the pupil. Outline your nose and the snout. And the mouth. You're gonna do the same thing on the panda if you're doing the panda. Now the only difference with the panda is we'll end up coloring in that whole big space right there all dark. Okay, now after you're done outlining, you're going to take your pencil or eraser and you're going to erase all those lines that you do not need. It's very important to do this as an artist. It's called cleaning up your drawing. It helps make it look more artistic and better quality work when you get rid of, it's called craftsmanship. When you get rid of all of the sloppy marks, your craftsmanship looks better. So I'm going to clean those up really quickly. Take a brush, wipe away, and now I'm going to add a little bit of texture. So when you're ready and you're doing the brown bear or the black bear, or excuse me, brown bear, black bear, or panda bear, we're going to use any of these tools to use the texture with. I'm going to show you what it looks like with a colored pencil. Make little lines like this for fur. Colored pencil is a great thing to use to add texture. You could also do that same thing with a crayon. It's going to look about the same as a colored pencil. It's really hard to tell the difference for doing texture. You don't have to fill it all in. You're just adding lines that are kind of close together to make it look like fur. Is that pretty cool? You can also use a Sharpie, but if you're using a Sharpie, you want to make sure it's a thinner Sharpie. The Sharpie that I have is a little bit too thick for doing the texture that we're doing, so I'm going to stick with either the crayon or the colored pencil for doing the texture. Now, if you're doing the brown or the black bear, you can put your lines for doing the texture pretty close together. I'll show you the panda is going to be a little bit farther apart. We're going to kind of fill in, making those texture lines all the way around on the face. And then on the snout, we just can add some little dots because that's where their little whiskers grow from. Maybe I'll add some extra lines around the eyes. If I were doing this with marker, I might not make as many lines. I might make some fewer. But the same idea, you're making little lines that kind of look like fur on your bear. And coloring in the nose all the way. You don't have to do anything down here for this week. Once you get this far, you're done. Same thing on the panda, except with the panda bear, you're going to notice that the texture is farther apart. It's not close together. So on that bear, instead of doing the texture super close, you can take a colored pencil or a crayon, and you're just going to space out your texture a little farther apart, like this. You don't have to do quite as much because the fur on the panda bear is white. And the way that we're going to outline this guy is a little bit different. I'm going to show you really quick. Coloring in the eyes like that black. And then we're going to do a donut ring around that, leaving the center white. And then the big ring. This is the one that gets colored in all the way. So you can take your marker or your crayon or your colored pencil and just go ahead and fill that in. Kind of looks like he has a little mask on. He's a little robber. Raccoons have this similar thing on them too. Now what's different about the panda bear, when we go to outline him, we're not going to outline his whole head. We're going to outline his ears, and I'll explain why. Because he has white fur, we don't need to outline the whole head with black. So we're going to outline the ears, because the ears are black. And we're going to outline his little cute little nose here and color that in. And then outline his mouth like that. And I can add some texture down here at the bottom. Maybe add some texture lines for my marker too, just a little bit. And then, of course, the sweater, which we're not going to decorate till next week. So there you go. There's the panda, there's the brown or the black bear. You have two choices. I hope you guys have great fun practicing sketching. Don't worry about it if you make mistakes. You can start over, turn your paper over, use the back side, erase mistakes. I had to practice several times before I got mine to look just like this. So sometimes with art, you have to practice. And I want you to have fun practicing and making the texture. And then next week, we will add a lot of color to our sweaters. Have fun drawing. Bye-bye.
All right. So just for a little extra art time fun, I also put some pictures of different animals you could try doing texture with as well. You could search up a lot of different animals on YouTube to find out how to draw them with texture. But here's a picture of how to do different cartoon animals you could practice just for fun. I can't wait to see what you all make. And then next week we'll color the sweater. Bye bye, have fun.